Have you ever felt like someone suddenly points their finger at you, blaming you for something you didn't do, and in that instant, your whole world seems to shake? Picture this. You're just walking through life, doing your best, trying to grow, to be kind, to evolve into the best version of yourself. And then, without any warning, someone hurls an unjust accusation your way. Your heart races, your thoughts spiral, and before you know it, you're questioning everything, even yourself. Does that sound familiar? If it does, stay with me, because what you're about to discover could change everything. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers of the human soul, uncovered something powerful, something that lives inside of you, a hidden force, a truth so transformative that once you understand it, you'll never see yourself or the people around you the same way again. Jung believed that you hold within you the power to decide who deserves your energy and who does not. And trust me, when someone blames you unjustly, Jung would tell you that this is one of the clearest signs that this person does not belong in your life. Let me ask you something right now. From the heart, how many times have you carried guilt that wasn't yours? How many sleepless nights have you spent replaying words someone else said to you? Words that made you feel small, inadequate, even broken. If you've been through that, you're not alone. We've all been there. But here's the good news. You don't have to live like that anymore. Jung taught us that the human soul is not meant to carry burdens that don't belong to it. Your energy, that sacred spark that makes you you, was never meant to be drained by people who refuse to see your worth. And today, together, we're going to begin unlocking the invisible chains that have held you back. We'll use Jung's groundbreaking ideas not just to shift how you relate to others, but how you relate to yourself. Now think about this. Carl Jung wasn't just a psychologist. He was an explorer of the soul. He believed that within every single person lives an entire universe, a vast inner world filled with symbols, feelings, and truths that speak to us all the time, even if we don't always listen. But how does this inner world communicate? Not through long speeches or clear directions. Jung believed that the unconscious speaks through signs, through dreams, through gut feelings we can't always explain. Have you ever had a strange feeling about someone? Maybe you met a person who seemed perfect on the outside, charming, sweet, full of promise. But something deep within you whispered, "Be careful. Something's off here." That whisper was your soul speaking. That was your unconscious, your inner self, trying to protect you. Now imagine you're in a relationship, whether it's with a friend, a family member, or a romantic partner, and everything seems fine. Until one day, out of nowhere, they blame you for something you didn't do. Maybe they tell you you're selfish, that you're not trying hard enough, that everything that went wrong is your fault. And even though, deep down, you know it's not true, a tiny voice inside begins to ask, what if they're right? What if I really am the problem? That moment of self-doubt, that fracture in your confidence, is exactly where Jung's teachings become essential. He would say it's not a coincidence that you're feeling this way. It's your unconscious sending you an urgent message. It's telling you something loud and clear. This person doesn't deserve your energy. This guilt is not yours to carry. Let's pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel that tightness in your chest, that uncomfortable sensation that appears when someone blames you unfairly. That's not weakness. That's not a flaw. It's a signal. Jung taught that emotions, especially the ones that make us squirm, are tools. They are the language of the soul. So when someone points a finger at you, when they make you feel less than, it's not just a passing irritation. It's your inner self raising a red flag. It's not just an annoyance. It's a profound invitation to look deeper. Why are you giving this person so much power over how you feel? Why do you stay in the game they've created instead of guarding what really matters? Your peace, your truth, your essence. Let's talk about something vital to Jungian psychology: the shadow. The shadow is the part of you that you'd rather not see. The fears, the insecurities, the traits you hide away because they don't match the version of yourself you want the world to see. We all have a shadow. And here's the twist. When someone blames you unfairly, they often touch that shadow without even realizing it. Imagine someone telling you, "This is all your fault. You never do anything right." Outwardly, you might get angry, but inwardly, a small, fragile voice begins to whisper, "What if they're right? What if I'm not enough?" That voice doesn't come from them. It comes from you, from your shadow, from the part of yourself you haven't faced yet. But don't panic. Don't fear that voice. Because here's what Jung wanted you to understand, more than anything else. The shadow is not your enemy. It's not there to destroy you. In fact, it's one of the most powerful tools you have for personal growth. When someone blames you and makes you doubt yourself, it's not just an external attack. It's an opportunity. Yes, you heard that right. An opportunity. The very moment you start to question yourself is also the moment you can pause, turn inward, and ask, what is this trying to teach me? What part of me needs compassion, needs healing, needs acknowledgement? Because once you begin to integrate your shadow, once you begin to accept the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, something incredible happens. You stop giving other people the power to define who you are. Now think about the people in your life. I bet there's someone who's come to mind while we've been talking. Someone who always seems to have a criticism ready, who makes you feel like you're never quite good enough, who blames you for things you can't control. Have you ever asked yourself why you keep allowing it? Jung would say it's no coincidence that this person is in your orbit. Nothing happens randomly in the universe of the psyche. What may seem like an accident or an unfortunate twist of fate is often far more meaningful. According to Jung, these encounters, especially the difficult ones, are mirrors. They reflect not just the external world, but fragments of your own inner landscape. What disturbs you in another person, what triggers pain or frustration, is usually a projection of something unresolved within yourself. But this doesn't mean you are doomed to stay trapped in those reflections. You are not destined to repeat those emotional loops indefinitely. Just because someone projects their guilt onto you doesn't mean you have to accept it as your reality. that emotional weight, that false narrative they impose, doesn't belong to you. It's a distortion, a ripple on the surface of your emotional self. Imagine for a moment that you're standing before a still lake. The water is calm, crystal clear, so perfectly serene that you can see your reflection in it without distortion. Every feature, every emotion, all laid bare and true. Then suddenly, someone hurls a rock into that water. The surface breaks, waves ripple outward, your reflection warps, twists, blurs, until it becomes almost unrecognizable. That's what happens when someone unfairly blames you. Their words, their energy, their accusations disturb your inner peace, shake your self-image, and momentarily confuse your sense of self. But, and this is where Jung's wisdom becomes vital, the water doesn't stay disturbed forever. The ripples eventually fade, the lake settles, and your reflection returns to its original clarity. The same applies to your emotional life. You can wait for things to calm down naturally, but you also have the power to intentionally restore that stillness within you. The real question is, will you passively wait for peace to return, or will you take control of your perception and actively decide which reflection you want to hold on to? Take a breath with me. Let's go deeper. Your energy is sacred. This is not a metaphor. This is a truth you must anchor in your being. Say it to yourself, even if only in your mind. My energy is sacred. It's not something to be handed out freely to anyone who demands it. And it certainly shouldn't be given to someone who treats you unfairly or accuses you without reason. Jung believed that the psyche, this complex web of conscious and unconscious elements, is like a personal garden. It requires attention, boundaries, and care. If you let anyone walk in without respect, if you allow others to trample over your flowers and uproot what you've nurtured, you'll soon find yourself surrounded by decay instead of beauty. But if you protect your inner space, if you set healthy limits, if you dare to say no to those who don't honor who you are, then that garden will blossom. It will overflow with color, life, and power. And when that happens, something magical occurs. The right people begin to show up. The ones who recognize your worth, who support your growth, who lift you up rather than weigh you down. So let me ask you a question. Sit with it for a moment. Who in your life has been unfairly blaming you? Don't speak the answer aloud. Just feel it. Let it surface from within. Think about how their presence affects you. Do they fill you with light and clarity, or do they leave you drained, tense, and confused? If it's the latter, then Jung would say you already have your answer. Your subconscious already knows. That person does not deserve your energy. Letting them go is not a sign of weakness or surrender. It's not giving up. It's choosing yourself. It's an act of self-respect, a bold declaration that your peace, your wholeness, your clarity are more important than the chaos they bring. Now pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. Imagine you're releasing a heavy burden you've been carrying on your shoulders for far too long. With every breath, you let go of another layer of tension, guilt, or confusion. Doesn't it feel lighter, freer? That feeling, that sense of relief and liberation, is what Jung wanted all of us to experience. He didn't study the mind to just diagnose it. He studied it to guide us back to ourselves, to offer us a map for wholeness, a return to authenticity. And one of the most powerful lessons from that map is this: not everyone deserves a seat at the table of your life. Some people are only there to serve as temporary reflections. They're not meant to stay forever. They arrive to reveal the parts of yourself you've outgrown, to help you see what needs to be released. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to walk with you to the end. Letting go doesn't mean you hate them. It means you finally love yourself enough to stop sacrificing your peace. Let's go even deeper now. When someone unjustly blames you, they're not just disturbing your calm. They're challenging your authenticity. They're trying, consciously or unconsciously, to rewrite your narrative. But to Jung, authenticity wasn't just a desirable trait. It was the core of psychological health, the foundation of a meaningful life. So, what does it mean to be authentic in a world that constantly tries to shape you into something you're not? How do you stay true to your essence when others try to mold you through blame, guilt, and manipulation? This is where things get real. Think about the times you've been made to feel like you were the problem. It might have been subtle. If only you had done this differently, everything would be fine. Or it might have been blunt. This is all your fault. And in that moment, something inside you begins to fracture. You second-guess your choices. You question your value. You lose trust in your own judgment. And almost without noticing, you begin to shrink yourself to avoid more blame. You alter your behavior. You silence parts of yourself, all in the hope of being accepted. Does that sound familiar? Be honest with yourself. Because if it does, Jung has something vital to tell you. Every time you betray yourself to fit into someone else's expectations, you mute your inner voice. And when you silence that voice, you become disconnected from who you truly are. You drift from your essence, and eventually you begin to live a life that is no longer yours. Now let's talk about relationships, because this is where Jung's ideas shine the brightest. People who blame you unfairly are not just attacking you. They're projecting their own unresolved shadows onto you. Jung called this the shadow, the part of ourselves we repress or deny. And often, when someone accuses you unjustly, it's not because you're guilty, it's because you've triggered a part of themselves they cannot face. They are, without knowing it, asking you to carry their shame, their fear, their unacknowledged wounds. Picture this. Someone points a finger at you and says you're the reason for their misery. On the surface, it feels like a personal attack. But if you zoom out, if you look at it through Jung's lens, you realize that their blame has nothing to do with you. It's their shadow, screaming to be seen. You're not the villain in their story. You're the mirror they refuse to look into. But let me be clear. This doesn't mean your job is to fix them. You are not a therapist for every wounded soul you meet. Your role is not to absorb their pain or decode their unconscious. Your role is to remain rooted in your truth, to see the projection for what it is, and to choose, with clarity and courage, whether that relationship supports your growth or suppresses it. And when it suppresses you, when it demands that you dim your light so others feel comfortable, you owe it to yourself to walk away, not in anger, not in revenge, but in love. Love for yourself, love for your path, love for the person you are becoming. Jung's work isn't about analyzing others. It's about understanding yourself. When someone blames you unfairly, the real question isn't, what's wrong with them? The real question is, what is this revealing about me? Maybe it's showing you that you're afraid of disappointing people. Or maybe it's revealing that you've been giving your energy to those who don't value it. Whatever it is, that discomfort becomes a doorway. And once you step through, you find something powerful. The ability to choose who stays in your life and who doesn't. Let me tell you a story to bring this to life. Picture a woman named Anna. Anna had a friend who constantly blamed her for his own mistakes. If he was late, it was because Anna hadn't reminded him of the time. If his day went wrong, it was because Anna hadn't been supportive enough. At first, Anna accepted it. She thought, maybe I really could have done more. But over time, she started to feel empty. She looked in the mirror and no longer recognized the person staring back. Where was her joy? Where was her strength? Then one day, something clicked. She remembered Jung's idea of projection, that what we see in others often reflects what's inside us. And that's when she realized it wasn't her. It was him, throwing his chaos onto her. So she made a bold decision to let him go. What happened next? It wasn't easy at first. There was guilt, doubt, even fear of being alone. But slowly, Anna began to bloom again. Her energy returned. Anna began to bloom again. Her energy returned. Her dreams resurfaced. And the right people started showing up in her life. Why? Because when you release those who don't deserve your energy, you give your unconscious the space to guide you toward what truly aligns with your truth. Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming who you really are, free from the masks others try to place on you. So here's another question for you. Who in your life is asking you to carry guilt that doesn't belong to you? Think carefully. Maybe it's someone close, someone you deeply care about, and that makes it even harder, doesn't it? Because when you love someone, the last thing you want is to walk away. But here's the truth Jung left us with. Self-love does not bargain with your peace. If someone keeps blaming you unfairly over and over, they're not loving you. They're using you. And you, my friend, deserve more than being someone else's emotional dumping ground. Let's try something quick. Imagine you're standing in front of that person right now. They're pointing at you, saying the words that usually hurt. This is your fault. But this time, instead of lowering your head or defending yourself, you just take a breath and silently say, "This is not mine to carry." How does that feel? Isn't it freeing? Jung would say that this simple act of rejecting someone else's guilt is a step toward your freedom, because your energy was never meant to feed someone else's chaos. It was meant to nurture your dreams, your passions, your purpose. Now let's talk about self-love, because that's the heart of all this. Jung didn't just explore the unconscious and the shadows. He showed us that the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. When someone blames you unfairly, they're not just draining your energy, they're stealing your chance to love yourself fully. Think about that. Every time you accept guilt that isn't yours, you're telling your unconscious, I don't deserve peace. But when you stand your ground and say, no, this isn't mine, you send a different message. I love myself enough to protect myself. And you know what happens when you truly begin to love yourself? Relationships begin to shift. The people who once drained you start to fade away, not because you push them out, but because your energy no longer tolerates them. It's like your soul creates a natural filter. Only those who respect you, value you, and lift you higher are allowed to stay. Jung explained it through his idea of synchronicity. When you're aligned with your truth, the universe conspires to bring you what resonates with you. But for that to happen, you must first release what doesn't belong to you. Think of your life as a river. When someone blames you unfairly, it's like throwing a rock into your stream. The water stirs, it's redirected, it loses its natural flow. But when you remove that rock, when you choose to reject blame that isn't yours, the river runs freely again. That flow, that freedom, is where you rediscover your power. Jung would say, that's the moment when your conscious and unconscious align, creating a harmony that transforms everything around you. So here's a challenge for you. The next time someone blames you unfairly, don't react right away. Take a moment, breathe, and ask yourself, is this really mine? Do I truly deserve to carry this? 9 out of 10 times, the answer will be no. And when you reach that no, you'll have the power to let go, to protect your energy, to choose yourself. Because at the end of the day, as Jung would say, your life is not about pleasing others. It's about becoming the person you're meant to be. We've reached the final stretch, and this is where it all comes together. If someone blames you unfairly, you'll know they don't deserve your energy. But knowing isn't enough. You must act. Carl Jung didn't just give us theories to think about. He gave us a roadmap for living bravely, for facing chaos, and coming out stronger. So get ready, because now we're taking this to the next level. We're going to talk about how to let go of the people who blame you, how to embrace your authenticity, and how to transform your life from the inside out. Imagine you're walking through a forest. There are 2 paths ahead of you. One is lit, paved, with people cheering as you pass. The other is dark, filled with branches and shadows you can't quite make out. Which one would you choose? Most would take the easier path, the one that feels safe. But Jung would say, real growth, real fulfillment lies in the darker path. Why? Because that's where you face your shadows, where you discover who you truly are. And when someone blames you unjustly, they're pushing you down that path, even if they don't realize it. They're giving you the chance to look in the mirror and decide, am I going to keep carrying this? Or will I let go and walk free? Letting go isn't easy, I know. There's a part of you that says, but if I release this person, What will be left? What if I end up alone? That fear is normal. Jung understood that. He knew that change always brings a void. But that void isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It's the space where something new can grow. Think of your life as a closet. If it's full of old clothes that no longer fit, there's no room for something that makes you feel amazing. The same goes for the people who blame you without cause. They take up space that could be used for something better. Let's take another pause. Breathe with me. Imagine you're letting go of that person who has been pointing fingers at you. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with calm. You say silently, "This isn't mine. I release you." What do you feel? Maybe relief, maybe a hint of sadness. But there's also power there, right? Because when you let go, you're not just freeing that person, you're freeing yourself. Jung called it shadow integration, the act of accepting that you don't need everyone's approval to be worthy. Now let's talk about what comes after letting go, because this isn't just about saying goodbye. It's about saying hello to something greater. When you stop carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you, your energy shifts. You start attracting people who see you for who you are, not for what they can take from you. Jung explained this through his idea of synchronicity. When you live from your truth, the universe responds. Doors open, connections bloom, and suddenly, life begins to feel like an adventure rather than a battle. But here's the catch. Authenticity isn't a destination. It's a practice. You don't just wake up one day and say, "I'm 100% myself now." It's a daily journey of listening to your unconscious, of paying attention to that inner voice that warns you when something feels off. Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest when you're around someone who blames you? That's your signal. Don't ignore it. Jung would say that it's your soul crying out, "Choose better. Choose what makes you feel alive." And here comes the most powerful part of all. When you live from your truth, you inspire others to do the same. Imagine the impact. If today you decide to release someone who doesn't deserve your energy, you're not just changing your life. You're giving someone else permission to do the same. It's like throwing a stone into a still pond. The ripples spread, touching everyone around you. Jung believed that the purpose of life isn't just to survive, but to become a beacon of light for the world. And you can't be that light if you're buried under the weight of guilt that isn't yours. So here's my final challenge for you. Look at your life right now. Who is blaming you unfairly? What relationship is taking more than it gives? And most importantly, what are you willing to do about it? You don't owe anyone an answer but yourself. But if there's a voice inside you saying, "Enough is enough," listen to it. Because that voice is your unconscious, your guide, your compass to a fuller life. Before we say goodbye, I want you to do something for me and for yourself. Close your eyes for just a second. Imagine what your life would look like without all that borrowed guilt. Imagine waking up every day, feeling light, free, and deeply connected to yourself. Beautiful, isn't it? That's the gift Jung left us. The certainty that we can create that life step by step, one decision at a time. Now let's talk about something important. If this message reached your heart, if something in these words clicked within you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe a friend stuck in a toxic relationship, or a family member burdened by guilt that was never theirs to carry. Together, we can build a community where we all remember our worth. And don't leave without leaving your mark. Down in the comments, tell me, what guilt have you been carrying that doesn't belong to you? What will you let go of today to reclaim your energy? Your words don't just inspire me, they inspire everyone who reads them. And every comment helps this video reach more people who need this message. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the bell icon, because every week I bring you content like this to help you transform your life. Thank you for being here, for listening to me, for being part of this family. Life is a canvas, and you hold the brush. What are you going to paint with it? I hope to see you in the next video. Remember, change begins with you. If someone blames you unfairly, now you know what to do. See you soon.